Fortunately, I'm starting to get this gut feeling that we might not even see Caitlin back on the court this season, and that might actually be the best thing. Caitlin should be out for the rest of the season. Maybe this season is just done for her. Maybe it doesn't make sense.
Injury report that Caitlin Clark is a game time decision. I think they did that for ticket sales. I think they knew that we all was going to pick up on that and pretty much say, well, you know what? There's a chance Caitlin Clark could be coming back for this game, maybe even that game.
Yo, did you hear that? Caitlin Clark just dropped a bombshell. Straight up said she might walk away from the Indiana Fever. And honestly, it sounds like she's fed up with how this league is handling things. The hypocrisy is just wild right now.
About the Caitlin Clark injury. Let's listen to her, bro.
Caitlin starting full court running last week. Has she been able to do anything extra since then or return to practice at all?
No return to practice. She's been able to get a little bit more in her full court running, with her all of her body weight. It's really building up from doing minimal to then building some endurance to do longer periods of time. She's been able to do a little bit more on the court in terms of how she moved.
Caitlin Clark's.
So there is really no timetable as to when Caitlin Clark could return. Y'all got me? There is no set time as when CC could possibly be coming back. And as of right now, the Indiana Fever is looking real spooky because they're not keeping it.
She's been sidelined since July 17th. That's a long time. And what's wild is the WNBA just keeps putting out these super vague updates. Honestly, it feels like they're just trying to sell tickets. Meanwhile, the Fever are just losing games and her injury. It's serious, likely from all the rough play she's been dealing with.
But it's looking like he don't care for Caitlin Clark. We know clear as day that Stephanie White has been looking in certain areas not to be feeling the Caitlin Clark effect. I don't know, but this stuff is definitely looking.
And look, the updates are just concerning. Seriously, don't even get me started. First it's day to day, then out of nowhere, it's out indefinitely. And my personal favorite, a game time decision for Dallas. Bruh, how is it a game time decision when she hasn't practiced in weeks? This whole thing is just wild.
Specifically, the reporting around Caitlin Clark's injury, because I feel like it is getting stranger by the day. It has been a month now that Caitlin has.
So what's next? Are they going to list her as probable for 2032? Then, Coach Stephanie White drops the bomb. She said Clark hasn't practiced, not even once. So why in the world is she even on the game status sheet? Oh, right. Ticket sales. Gotta get those butts in the seats. Gotta keep those WNBA live stream numbers barely moving, you know?
Yesterday, she was listed as a game time decision for today's game against the Dallas Wings. And then after practice yesterday, Coach Stephanie White basically came out and said, like, no, Caitlin Clark hasn't even been practicing. So they changed it from a game time decision to her being out.
And look at the math here. There are only 12 games left in the regular season. The season wraps up September 9th. Every single day she's out, her chances of coming back just get smaller and smaller. Honestly, at this point, that return window, it's looking like a closed McDonald's drive-thru. You can pull up, but you're not getting anything.
At the Indiana Fever's schedule right now, they only have 12 games left, and there is exactly 4 weeks left in the regular season. And the craziest.
Now get this, beat reporter Scott Agnes just had to play mood killer. He dropped the comment about at least several more weeks. Several more weeks? My guy, what season are we in? That means maybe 6 games before the playoffs, tops. What's even the point then? To sell some dramatic comeback montage? ESPN even thought they had it all figured out, circling August 12th for her big return. But nah, classic WNBA fashion, game day list. Started playing musical chairs. Questionable in the morning, out by lunch. Seriously?
Replying to someone else's comment who said, just can't wait until Cece is back. She's the most dynamic, electric player in the WNBA. Great job, Lexi. And then Scott Agnes replied and he said, have patience, at least several more weeks.
And then, surprise, surprise, Stephanie White herself admits it. Caitlin hasn't done a single full practice, not one. So where is this game time decision even coming from? Is it a decision about if she's wearing sneakers or slides on the bench? Cause listen, if you haven't practiced, you're not playing. Everyone who knows basketball knows that.
Contenders at this point, I'm just not so sure. Do you risk another injury that can again compound and turn into something else down the line? Now, one other
Here's the thing though. This isn't even the first time they've pulled this kind of stunt. Mid-season, she was rushed back from a quad injury after just one full-speed practice. And what happened? She got hurt again. Imagine being this bad at managing injuries. Your star player is stuck in the worst cycle ever. Injured, rushed back, injured again. So, either the WNBA just can't communicate clearly, or they're actively hiding the truth. And honestly, I don't even know which one is worse. Both feel like a slap in the face to us fans who are literally paying to watch this mess.
a star player like that, we will never know all the information, nor should we know all the information, and that's actually good for Caitlin. It protects her for when she does come back on the court. She can't be targeted. Teams can't use a certain injury or ailment against her if people don't really know what is going on. But
you want to talk about a real disaster? Let's get into the Fever's full-blown meltdown. In just one cursed night against Phoenix, both backup point guards who were filling in for Caitlin were wiped out for the season. It was like the basketball gods just flipped the table and walked out. First, Sydney Colson tears her left ACL in the first quarter. She's in her mid-30s. For a WNBA guard, that's basically senior citizen territory. An ACL at that age isn't just a season ender, it's a career flipper. And that's brutal, because Colson wasn't just some bench warmer. She brought leadership. She was those steady hands when things got shaky. Now she's just gone.
Thrown back into any mix if she doesn't have significant practices under her belt before she goes into game speed. You can try to simulate game speed as much as you want in practice.
Then, like the universe was just feeling extra petty that night, Ari McDonald goes down in the fourth quarter, broken bone in her right foot. This was just when she was really proving herself again, you know, showing she could run the offense, push the pace, be that spark. Boom, season over.
Colson sustained an anterior cruciate ligament ACL tear. Oh, Sydney did to her ACL in her left knee during the first quarter of the game.
It began in the first quarter.
Oh, and because the WNBA operates with the urgency of a DMV on lunch break, the trade deadline, it had passed 4 days earlier. 4 days. Which means no blockbuster trades, no sneaky late season steals. The Fever are just stuck staring at their roster like, well, guess we're totally screwed now.
I think you're wrong. Again, you think it'll be a couple more weeks before CC returns to practice. Please stop always saying negative and depressing hit about Caitlin Clark. She has been running full court consistently as reported for over a week.
And speaking of that roster, let's talk about how ridiculously thin it is right now. Technically, they've got 10 healthy players, but that's just on paper. In reality, Coach White just refuses to even play Chloe Bibby, KK, or Bree Turner, which means you're basically rolling with 7 players. In this league, you need fresh legs just to survive. And yeah, I said refuses. It's not like these players are injured. She just doesn't want to play them. This is like trying to cook a meal with half your ingredients because you don't like the other ones. That's not strategy. That's pure stubbornness.
Scotty Boy is right, and it's still going to be a couple weeks. You should want to be encouraging to the fans, bro. Like, you know, let's just give it some time. Not just it's going to be a couple weeks. Like, I don't know.
Now look at the numbers. With Clark, the Fever were 8-5. Without her, 9-7. That's not full-on catastrophic yet, but it's a clear, steady slide. And with their depth chart now looking like a middle school rec league, it's only gonna get uglier. Their playoff push is on life support right now. The machine beeping slower with every game. And here's the cherry on top. All this chaos is happening while your biggest draw, the face of the franchise, is just sitting there in street clothes. Day to day for a whole month, while the league keeps pumping out vague injury updates like they're reading fortune cookies. It's ridiculous.
Now, initially, it was a growing strain, like a pulled muscle. Caitlin Clark has not played a game since July the 17th. It is now August 12th. In 5 days...
The WNBA is out here acting like we're too dumb to notice. But listen, fans aren't stupid. We can see the contradictions. We see the bad injury management. We see the total lack of transparency. We see a coach making some questionable rotation choices. a front office with zero plan B, and a league willing to just milk a star's name for every last click without actually giving a damn about what's really happening.
Cohesion might be the right word. They've had cohesion issues this entire season. When Caitlin Clark is in, the team plays completely different than when Caitlin Clark is not on the court.
So, Caitlin Clark sits down with Sue Bird for what she thinks is just a nice little interview, and she casually drops a story that should make every Fever fan just throw something at the wall. She admits Coach Stephanie White benched her mid-game for 2 turnovers in a row. Okay, fine. Coaches bench players for turnovers. But then the lesson was apparently that she should stop trying risky plays, like a fast break pass to a teammate. And not only that, after Clark actually held back on one of those passes later, White praised her for it. You heard me right. She got a pat on the back for not doing the thing that makes her Caitlin freaking Clark. That's why.
A whole 30 plus days for a pulled muscle, essentially. I've been saying this. Caitlin Clark adding that muscle was way too fast. Probably messed up her mobility, and her basically her equilibrium is off. Her balance is off.
Clark even admitted it hurt her not to make that pass, and it should. This is the stuff she's known for. The bold plays, the quick decisions, those passes that just make the crowd lose its mind and swing momentum instantly. But apparently, that's not part of the safe cookie-cutter don't take risks brand of basketball Stephanie White wants, which is just insane. You don't recruit the biggest name in women's basketball in years just to tell her to tone it down and be like everyone else. That's not how you win.
Practice, she's been able to get a little bit more in her full court running, with her all of her body weight. It's really building up from doing minimal to then building some endurance to do longer periods of time. She's been able to do a little bit more on the court in terms of how she moves.
Caitlin Clark's.
This is how you ruin a generational player, man. You literally coach the Caitlin right out of Caitlin. You strip away all that personality and flair that put the WNBA on the front page for once in its life, and you just turn her into another solid player. Nobody is showing up or tuning in for solid. They're here for those logo threes, the impossible dimes, and plays that make people rewind their DVR just to see if that really happened.
Possibly be injury prone, maybe. You know what I'm saying? We don't know because they're not being transparent with the injury. They're saying it's a growing strain. It's clearly not a strain, guys. I just want to let you know. Now, Stephanie White said this yesterday.
It's like if Steve Kerr saw Steph Curry pull up from deep and said, "Yeah, Steph, don't do that again. Just take the mid-range jumper." Before Steph changed the NBA, those long threes, they were considered bad shots. Now they're the standard. Caitlin could do the exact same thing for the WNBA if the league and her own coach just don't smother her under all these boring, safe tactics. But of course, the WNBA being the WNBA, they're perfectly capable of taking their one true star and telling her to just be less interesting.
Well, this is the kind of update I never want to have to give. And this is a bad one, and it affects the same position.
Meanwhile, the team's actual situation, it couldn't be worse. With Sydney Colson and Ari McDonald both done for the season, the Fever literally have 0 natural point guards left. None. They're forcing Kelsey Mitchell, who's built to score, to bring the ball up. They're even making Aaliyah Boston, a center, act like a guard sometimes. That's how desperate they are. It's like making your goalie take corner kicks in soccer because you've got nobody else. It's a mess.
We lost 2 very, very competent players, including the starting point guard that was filling in for the other starting point guard.
Fans aren't dumb. They can absolutely see what's going on. And plenty of us suspect the league is just keeping Caitlin's real status under wraps to keep eyeballs on the games. But the reports floating around say she's already been privately ruled out for the rest of the regular season, which means all these little maybe she's close hints are just bait. And it's not like she's soft either. Clark played 105 straight games between college and early in her WNBA rookie season without missing one for injury. Now, she's missed games 4 separate times just this rookie year. Quad pulls, groin pulls, these are the kinds of injuries you get when your body is getting pounded every night and you're rushed back without enough recovery.
They only have 12 games left, and there is exactly 4 weeks left in the regular season. And the craziest thing about this last groin injury with Caitlin Clark is how it's been covered.
The risk here is just so obvious. Bring her back early and you're asking for another injury. Maybe even something worse that messes with her whole career. But without her, the Fever are just looking at crawling into the playoffs as a low seed, maybe 8th, with no real shot at doing anything. And the emotional toll is real too. This team has been slapped around by injuries all year. Clark's return might be the only thing that would give them that spark to believe again. And here's the real kicker. The entire league is basically hanging on one player's groin right now. Playoff hopes, ticket sales, national attention, all of it is on her. And the way the league and the team have managed this whole thing makes them look amateur, if we're being nice. Manipulative, if we're telling the truth. So yeah, if you want the unfiltered truth about this and every other WNBA train wreck, you gotta stick around, because clearly, they're not gonna give you the real story themselves. And at this rate, the next update on Caitlin Clark might as well be a press release saying, "We're still making it up as we go."